Hi, Mr. Osborne back. Welcome back to session 3 of our place value. Today we're going to be looking at rounding numbers. I hope you found the first 2 sessions useful. Someone's making some noise behind me, so I'm just going to introduce you to. It's my dog, Arthur, just in case you hear any noises in the background. Okay, buddy. Yes, so I hope you found the first 2 sessions helpful, and we're going to move on to session 3, which is looking at rounding numbers. Let's get sharing the screen. Here we go, share screen, session 3, and let's get this underway. So you will need a pencil, paper, and a ruler if you have one. Again, if you have a place value grid with you that you may have drawn in the first 2 sessions, that will be fantastic. If not to worry. Okay, so let's have a look at the warm-up. Get your brains going today. What I'm going to ask you to do is we have the number of 45,462. Down here in the left-hand corner, we have 1 less, 10 less, 100 less, 1,000 less, and then 10,000 less. I think you should be able to complete this in maybe a minute, maybe a little bit quicker. If you want to pause the video and then come back to me, that would be fantastic, and we can have a look through the answers together. Okay, so you're telling me you're done. Let's have a look through the answers together. 45,462 less 1 would give us 45,461. Less 10 would give us 45,452. 100 less would give us 45,362. And 1,000 less would give us 44,462. And what is 10,000 less? Well, that would give us 35,462. Hope you did well there. Pat yourself on the back if you did. Okay, let's move on. So today we're going to be looking at rounding numbers to a degree of accuracy. Okay, so we're going to look at round numbers. We're going to go through working together, just an explanation of why we might actually round numbers. Okay, it's quite easy to say rounding numbers, but why do we need to round numbers? We'll look at that together. Then we'll move on. So you have an opportunity to round to 10, thousands, hundreds, 100,000, and at the end you will get an independent task which you will be able to complete, and we'll be able to reflect, give you the answers, and you can see how you got on today. Okay, let's move on. So here we have Hulk and Spider-Man having a little chat. How do we usually use numbers? So pause for a thought there. Why do we have numbers? Why do we normally use numbers for? Well, we usually use numbers to represent the amount of things. And this could be anything from how many miles to school, how many children attend your school, or how many days until half term or the end of term, teacher's favorite, or how many days to Christmas, Easter, or your birthday. So it's representing the amount of things. So numbers are used to represent the amount of things. Here we go. Why do we round numbers? Now, got Hulk's example here, so let's use this. Hulk said that there were about 600 pupils in his school. Maybe 580. Well, more like 573. No, the exact number is 550. He's not exactly sure, and I'm sure he probably said Hulk smash at some point as well. So let's take what Hulk has said. So first of all, he said there are 600 pupils in his school. Okay, well, 600 is a rounded number. Okay, the exact number is 574. What he's actually done there is he's rounded the number up to 600, okay, which is an estimate. He then said, oh no, there's 580. No, more like 570. I see a little thingy there. He said like 73. We've got 70 on the list there, but not to worry. Okay, closer to 570. The exact number actually being 574. Well, let's take 600 for example. Okay, we had 2 estimates. The 600 was our least precise estimate. Okay, so further away from the actual number. The more precise estimates we look at are 580, 570. So not exact numbers. least precise, most precise, okay? Let's just move on to our next slide. So try and make this a bit clearer. So it is easier that we round numbers. So thinking back to Holt, and Holt going, 574. Well, actually, it was easier for him to round that number to say there's about 600. Okay, so I don't need to know the precise exact number in the situation of a conversation. So rounding makes it easier to do calculations. So here we have a calculation. We have 46 add 233. Let's have a look at our numbers. So if I was going to do 46 and 233, it would be far easier, okay, if I didn't need an exact number, a precise number, to round my 46 to the nearest 10, which gives me 50. Okay, you can see 46 are rounded to 50. Therefore, okay, have a go at this. You can write down 50, okay, and then to round 233 down to my nearest 200. Okay, so 233 rounds down to 200, and it is far easier in your head to say, well, 200 add 50 is 250, which gives us a good estimate of that calculation, as opposed to 233 add 46, which I'm sure as great mathematicians in year 6 you would be able to do in your head anyway, but it may just be a little bit quicker if a precise answer is not needed to round the numbers. Okay, so I've got a place value grid here, and as you can see, I've added to the place value grid decimal numbers. Now, in year 6, you will be learning to round to 3 decimal places. We're not going to do that in this session because I don't think we've got time, and I really want to focus on your skills in rounding whole numbers before we move into decimal numbers. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Let's round this number to the nearest 10. So we're going to round to 10. Just want to make that really clear. So what I've done is I've put a star in the tens column, okay, because that's the number we're going to round to. Okay, now looking before that, we have our units. Okay, now I've called that number the decider, okay, because that decides whether we round up or whether we're going to round down. Okay, just a little arrow there. Okay, now the rule here is if that decider is 5 or above, then we will be rounding the 10 up. Okay, if it is 5 or above, we then round up. So I'm going to go to my tens column, have a look. I've got a 5 in there at the moment. I'm going to look at my decider. Now that is definitely above 5. So therefore, this is telling me I need to round 2,456 to the nearest 10, would give me, wrong button, 2,456 rounds up to 2,460. Okay, just to clarify, we've got our star number, so that's the number we're going to round to, and then we've got our decider, which is the number that comes before that number. If that number is 5 or above, you round up. And as you can probably imagine, if it is 4 or below, then you're going to round the number down to the nearest 10. Okay. Now, this system works throughout, all the way up to 1 million. Okay. So as soon as you nail this system, then you'll be fine when you're rounding these numbers further up our place value grid. Okay. Have we got this one? Okay, I've not started, I've not put the decider on yet. So we've got 9,856, rounding down, nope, sorry, rounding up to 9,860. Wake up, Mr. Osborne. Okay, so again, without the animations on it, our star number would be in the tens column, which is our 5. Our decider would be in our units column, which is 6. We would then look, is it 5 or above? Of course it is. So 9,856 rounds up to 9,860. Okay, let's round this number to the nearest 100. Now, I'm sure you don't need me to tell you what you need to do, but I'm going to give you 30 seconds to go through and have a go at rounding 2,456. Okay, I can hear some of you shouting the answers to me already. So let's have a look. This is our decider. So I'm looking at my hundreds columns. I've got a 4 there. I'm looking in my tens. I've got the 5, which I know that I will be rounding up because it's 5 and above. Therefore, this number turns to 2,456 and it rounds up to 2,500. Okay, round that number then for me. Off you go. 2,426. Remember, identify your decider. Ask yourself, is it above 5 or not? If it's not, which it's not in this situation, then we know we're going to be rounding down to the nearest 100. So here we go. 2,426 rounds down to 2,400. Have a go at the thousands. Exactly the same method as we've been using. Let's round this number to the nearest 1,000. So we've got 2,000 identified as our star number. We've got a 4 and our hundreds. So therefore we know that this number must round down. So we have 22,426 rounds down to 22,000. By now, I'm sure you've got the idea of how this works. Let's round this to the nearest 100,000. What number have I got? I've got 3,272,426. I look at my decider, which is in the 10,000s column. Okay, I ask myself, is it 5 or above? Yes, it is. So I'm going to be rounding this number up, which gives me, here we go, 3,300,000. Okay, I'm sure that is cemented in your brains now on how to round. And that moves us nicely on to some questions for you, independent question times. This is where I'm going to ask you to pause the video, have a good go at this. Okay, might want to draw out that table. So if you've got a ruler today, that'll be fantastic. Then come back and we can reflect on these answers together. Okay, thanks for coming back. Let's have a look at these answers together and hopefully you'll be patting yourself on the back that you've managed to get them all correct. Write the digits in the box which makes the statement true. Okay, let's have a look. So something 78 and something 10 both round to 500 when rounded to the nearest 100. Okay, so let's have a look. If you had 478, I'm going to make number 4 my star number. Okay, and then I'm going to look at my decider, which would be 7 in this instance. Okay, that would then round the 400 up to 500. So 478 would be fine. And then if you were to look at 510, obviously 5 is going to be the star number, and the decider is the 1 in this instance, and 1 is definitely below the 5. So we would round that down to 500. So the correct statement would be 478 and 510 both round to 500 when rounded to the nearest 100. Okay, identify the numbers that round to 1,000 when rounded to the nearest 100. Okay, you had a set of numbers here. Okay, to the nearest 100. So if I'm looking at my 949, I'm rounding to the nearest 100. So I'm going to look at my 900 there. I'm going to look at my 4 as the decider. Is that 5 and above? No, that is absolutely not. In this instance of the 1,050, I'm going to have a look at the star number, which is actually a 0, but we have 1,050. So I'm going to look at the decider, which is 5 and above. So that number then would round to 1,100. Moving on to my 952, I'm looking at my star number, which would be 900. I'm looking at my decider, which would be the 5. Therefore, that would round to 1,000. Okay, I've got 1,045. So my star number again would be a 0. I'm going to look at my decider, which would be the 4. Is that 5 and above? No, it's not. So therefore, that number would round down to 1,000. And would complete did the same process with the last 2 numbers there. I'm going to give the answers because I'm sure you don't need me to go through. And here we go. We have 952, 1,045, and then at the end we have 1,039. Now it's a little bit of a table here going on, okay, and rounding each of these numbers as described. So we're rounded to 10, to 1,000 and 10,000. We've got 45,419, 234,549, and then we've got 3,126,095. Okay, there's the table filled in. Have a look at it yourself. So 45,419 rounded to the nearest 10 gives us 45,420. To the nearest 1,000 gives us 45,000. And to the nearest 10,000, 50,000. 234,549 rounded to the nearest 10 gives us 234,550. To the nearest 1,000, 235,000. And then to the nearest 10,000, 230,000. And then our final number down there, 3,126,095 rounded to the nearest 10 gives us 3,126,100 rounded to the nearest 1,000, 3,126,000, and then finally to the nearest 10,000 it gives us 3,130,000. A lot of numbers in today's session, and Mr. Osborne, blah, again, tongue-tied. Okay, so well done for making it all the way through. Hopefully, we'll just take time to pause, have a think about what we've learned today. We've learned, and hopefully have got a better understanding of why we might want to round numbers. Okay, we do not always want to be working with the exact numbers that we are given. If my weight was 86.95321 kilograms, then I don't really need all of those numbers. Okay, so we hopefully got a better understanding of rounding numbers. Okay, and we've looked at rounding to 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000. Okay, hopefully you've really got a good solid foundation of how to go about doing that now. Okay, just nice animation there. Let's have a look what we'll be looking at next time. Next time we'll be using negative numbers in a context. Okay, so put in the use of negative numbers into some maybe worded problems. Okay, thanks for joining me again. Okay, looking forward to seeing you next time. Take care.